Actually, the Siyam will make Suda, will make Kiddush, will make a Shabbos. But there's a piece of Gemara here that we could learn yet. And the interesting thing is that if you look at the Gemara, it looks like it finishes over here, the Ik Ano, right?
Yeah.
Is that what I say? Yeah? But if you look in the Nischois, there's a whole piece. There's a whole piece that that has a seder about that this is not actually the Siyam, and it all talks about Tara and how one thing brings to the other, and the Shaykhas is because we learned before that the bottle Tara, that one of the things. And we learned that it was also, remember we learned the story with that fruit over there, with the good taste in the fruit. So all this has to do with what's missing in the Golas. So we got to go back to the Gemara here. Actually, let's start over here. We learned it already yesterday, but we'll just start over here. Where is it about the... Tanu Rabbanan, you see, Kishetzoru, Machas, Beis Chashmonoi.
Yeah.
We started it yesterday, but we'll just go over it again. This was the time from by the second Beis Hamikdash, when they had we have a Soda B'Tavis. A Soda B'Tavis was when they surrounded Yerushalayim. The old city of Yerushalayim has a wall around it. It's a walled city, and they couldn't penetrate the wall to get into Yerushalayim. So a sort of a tavis was when they surrounded the wall. Then on Shivos B'Tammuz they broke through, and then on Tisha B'Av they came into the Beis Hamikdash. So it tells over here the story that there was a fight between two brothers from the Chashmonoim people. So he said, Kishetzoru Malchus Malchus Beis Chashmonoi Zel Zeh. When they were fighting among themselves, and who should take over, who should become the king and everything. Hoya Hulkenes mi b'chutz. So Hulkenes was on the outside of the wall. Varasta Bulas mi b'fnim. And they were fighting between themselves. So b'chol yom v'yom, every day, hoya mishalshim dinarim b'kupa. They would send down like a basket with money in it. And this money, like I told you yesterday, this money came from the Lishka. They had a special kupa where the people will collect the machzor shekel every year. And umaylahem to meet them. And they would bring them back with korban animals for the korban tomid shel shachas and korban tomid shel bein habayim. Hoyisham zakan echad. There was one old man over there. Shehoya makeh b'chochmas yivonis. In other words, he knew the sophisticated language of the Yevonim. You know, there was a street language, and there was a sophisticated language. So he knew the sophisticated language was sophisticated means very choshev, that the very choshev people would speak, and they spoke also b'ramozim. There were certain words that they would they made a remes for it, and the people knew. The people had like a language between themselves. Laws, lahem, b'chokmas yivonis. So he sent a message. Laws from, you know, the Russian law is a Rosh Tevis, Russian Amzor. Like you see, sometimes it actually Chumash many times. It actually says blaz. In French. So Balaz is Baloshan Am Zor. Not Russian Kodesh. We have Russian Kodesh. And the Am Zor means the strange nations in their language. So Laz Lahem, he sent a message, B'chokma Yavona, and he told them, Kol Zman, She'oiskim Ba'avodah, as long as the Beis HaMikdash is functioning, and they're doing the avodah, they're being makar every day, the korban tov mishal shachas and the shar ben abayim, ein im sorim biyotchem. You're not gonna conquer them because they have the schus of the Beis HaMikdash on their side. So what did they got the message? The ones on the outside got the message, and Ramocha the next day, shulshul lahem dinorim bekupa. They sent them down like a box, like every day with the money. V'helu lahem chazir, and they brought up a chazir. Kivan shegia l'chotzi chayma, when the chazir was climbing the wall that's around Yerushalayim. So he stuck his. In order for the chazar to climb, it had to have a grip on the wall. So it would stick its nails into the wall, and that held it, so you were able to climb up further.
He was going up with the basket, l'chara, no?
Huh?
He was going up in that basket, l'chara, that they sent down, because he wasn't climbing a straight wall.
Could be, I don't know. It said he was climbing on the wall.
He stuck his feet out and he caught the wall.
Nizdaza Eretz Yisrael Arba Meyes Parsa. It was like an earthquake. The whole Eretz Yisrael, it don't get in Treisen sich. Oise Shah. So at that time, when that happened, they realized that something terrible happened. And if something terrible happened, you have to do something about it, to make a certain takana. So they made a takana, Amru, and they said, Ora Odom She'egado Chazaydim. There shouldn't be any Chazaydim in Yerushalayim. And Nachazach, Ora Odom She'yilmod Rivnoi Chokma Yavonis.
Because that's what made the tzaris.
How did this happen? Because this person was able to send a message to them. Otherwise, Islam to send a message open the gewusst, but this way there were people that this old man knew, but not everyone knew it. But Oisa Shana, and that year, Shanina, we learned that Maisa ubo oime miganes serifim ushtei lechem mi bikas ein seichel. That means that I explained this yesterday. There's two kabbonis that you have to bring on the oime.
One is
the oime is to be mata chodesh, and the shtei lechem is to be mata. The oime is mata chodesh for bigvulim, for the people, and the shtei lechem on Shavuos is mata chodesh in the Beis HaMikdash. So usually they would cut it from fields that were near Yerushalayim because they wanted to be fresh. And over here they had to go far away to get it. Now, in fact, the Gemara, Eini. No, it's not. V'Omer Rebbe be'eretz Yisrael Roshen Susi Loma. In Eretz Yisrael, people spoke Roshen Susi. Susi was not a Jewish
language.
Not a Jewish language. Elo I Roshen HaKodesh, I Roshen Yavonis. They said Susi comes from Syria. But that wasn't Yiddish. So either speak Roshen Kodesh or speak Yavonis. And the Omer Rabbi Yosef said, "B'Bavo Roshen Arami Roma in Babel they spoke Lashon Arami. Arami means Aramaic, like the language from the Gemara. Ella I Lashon Kodesh, or Lashon Parsi. Parsi means what the Persians speak.
Yeah, Farsi.
So you're saying that you shouldn't speak this language. You see that
they did speak other languages.
They did speak other languages. And for the Gemara, Roshan Yavonis Uchud, V'chochma Yavonis Uchud. You see from here, from this story over here, you see that you're telling the people, don't speak like people. There's people that don't want to speak Yiddish because it's Deutsch, right? So you're telling the people, don't speak French, speak Yavonis. And here you said that they were guys that you shouldn't teach Yavonis. So punkt verkehrt, that's for the Gemara. And for the Gemara, Lashon Yavonis Uchud, V'chochma Yavonis Uchud. It's two separate things.
Don't mix them up.
There's a Lashon Yavonis, there's like the street language that the people speak, and then there's the sophisticated language. So that's what they didn't want. That you should speak the sophisticated language. Fragt the Gemara, V'chochma Yavonis mi asira. Is it forbidden to speak the sophisticated language? V'ha'omar Rabbi Yehuda Omer Shmuel Mishum Reb Shimon Begalil Madik Sev is a pasuk in Eicha. Eini Oilolo L'nafshi Mikol Benois Iri. I mean, I cry about myself for what happened to all the girls from my city. So the Gemara told a story. Elef Yelodim Hoye Bebeis Abba. There were 1,000. It means something that doesn't mean he had 1,000 children. It means something that there was a girls' school, with 1,000 children. Chomesh Meyes Lamdu Torah. 500 learned Torah. The Chomesh Meyes Lamdu Chachma Yavonos. V'le'nishtayr mehem el arni kan uben achi abba ba'asya. And ben achi abba means my cousin in Asya. So you see that they were against it, that they did learn Chachma Yavonos.
From the Chamesh ways that long to Torah, also nothing remained?
No, it's good. That the Gemara Shani Beis Rabbi Gamliel, the Krivim Lamalchus Havi. They had connection to the government.
So they had to speak the language.
In other words, so they were expected
to know that.
To know this language.
Well, what happened to 500?
And the Gemara gives an example. Zok the Gemara. The Sanya will learn Misapri Kaima Harezem Midake HaMairi. Misapri Kaima means that they had a certain way that they used to take haircuts. They used to grow hair in the back. They would shave up in the front, and they would grow long hair in the back. So we're saying that Masapri Kaima Hareza Madak, that's considered Dakar Amoidi, it's considered a Goyish way. And Avtulas ben Reuven, there was a person by the name of Avtulas ben Reuven, he tito L'Sapra Kaima, they permitted him that he could be
because
grow his hair that
like
way. What was the heter? The teretz is shu karev l'malchus. So because he was a karev l'malchus, so he had to come into the the Goyish circles over there, so they should look like, be respected by them, otherwise they'll look at him as some type of a battle nechais. So that's why they permitted it. And the same thing also, shall Beis Rabbi Gamliel hetilu lahem chochma shevonis, b'bnei shekrayvim l'malchus, because they were krayvim to malchus.
What's hetilu for what?
Huh?
He made his hair big. The word doesn't say not to make your hair big.
I can't understand what you're saying. In other words, the people that had to deal with the government had to get dressed in a certain way. Otherwise, the Jewish way of getting dressed, it wasn't respected. It wasn't. If you look pictures from America from the early years, people wore shaitlach. Men wore shaitlach. The judges, the judge had a wig. It was some type of a honor sign, and if you came in not looking like their people, you weren't respected. Zat the Gemara, the Pomas Achen. That means by the last
battalion of soldiers,
battalion from the army, Gozu Shalateitze Kala Bapiryan. And then later it says that Reb Chisda was Mevatalit. So the question is, why was he Mevatalit? That the Gemara Mishum Tznei Uso. Because like I explained when we were learning the Mishnah, that they used to travel through the city to bring the kala from her home to the wedding hall. And so there was like a special chariot where the kala would sit over there. And it was some of it was like some type of a closed chariot, you know. So Mishum Tznei Uso. Mishemeis Rabbi Yochanan Botro HaChachma. So we explained this that it means that he was like a very small. It actually says he doesn't know what it means. That's what I showed the Rashi before. But we explained that he was when you want many times you want to consult somebody. You know, you go to the Rav to consult the Rav. What does the Rav know about this? But as a Chacham, he has wisdom, and so who Torah is Chachma, you know. So the one Tanur Rabbanim Mishemeisa B'Lazar, Enigna Sefer Torah. They hid the Sefer Torah. There was because he was a Torah. The Gemara is saying that, in other words, he was a gonna shtick Torah. He was Torah. His whole life was Torah. Mishemeis Rabbi Yeshua, Botla Eitzo u'Machshava, u'Mishemeis Rabbi Akiva, Botlu Zroye Torah. Zroye Torah means the arms of the Torah, but some want to say that Rashi says over here, Zroye Torah Oimek Svara V'Lismach Tamei Torah Shabapeh Al Medrashi. The Rashi over here, Al Medrashi Mekrois. He darshaned every yos in the Torah. So he was like the arms of Torah. V'nismatnu Mayonas HaChochma. And Mishemesa B'Lezer Ben Azariah, Botlo Atores Chacham. She'atores Chachamim Oshum. In other words, B'Lezer Ben Azariah was a very rich person. That's why when there was the Maisa with Rabbi Gamliel, and they appointed a B'Lezer Ben Azariah, so one of the reasons that they took him was because he was a big Gevir.
To be a Rav? To be a...
He took over the...
Mishemeis Reb Chanina ben Daisa, Botlu Anshe Maisa. So this is all in the Mishnah. We're going to Anshe Maisa, that means Egon Abal Moifus. We told the stories yesterday with the Maisa with the vinegar, that Mishi Yema L'chaimes V'yad, Shamayad, Yem L'chaimes V'yad. And Mishemeis, this is all from the Mishnah, Mishemeis Abba Yosi ben Katanusa, Botlo Chasidim. V'gom Menikra Shema Abba Yosi ben Katanusa, Shehoye Miktane Chasidim. He was from the last of what we have in Pirkei Avos, what's the Rosh Hashanah? Anshe Knesset HaGedolah. So he was from the list of the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah. And Mishemeis ben Zayma is Botlo Hadashonim. And I explained yesterday that we find in the Agoda, Achadosh ben Zayma. Ben Zayma was a specialist on darshanik things. Mishemeis, the Shimon Eliel, Ola Gavoy. Gavoy is in Yiddish it's a Heshidik, it's a different animals, small little animals, that kill the tfu and everything. V'ravu tzares.
Bugs?
Grasshopper.
Huh? And Mishemeis, Rebbe, Huchbul Tzaras. So it became double. Yeah. It was even worse. Okay, we'll leave over here. We'll leave this for Shabbos. But now it becomes a question. In the Mishnah, when they made the Mishnah, so they wanted to write that it just says Huchbul Tzaras. And some want to say Mishemesh Rebbe Botla Anova. So the question is, who wrote that? If this is all part of the Mishnah, Rebbe wrote the Mishnah. So the Gemara is going to say, don't quote, this thing shouldn't be in the Mishnah. And he said, of course, there is Anova, so we'll finish that in Mitzvah Shem on Shabbos. And everybody's invited to the Siyum.
Same on Masechta.
He can't say it on himself.